Hey folks, so this will actually be the first video for the B-29 project, and that's about all I can say. It's something that my son instigated. It's really his airplane. I just purchased the landing gear for it, and he's inside playing video games while I'm out here making this video. So B-29 project, yeah, it's not my typical thing, but I like different airplanes, and I seem to be the guy who inherits really big airplanes with big problems. And this one is a big airplane with big problems. Not problems in a bad thing, just problems as in it needs a good rehab. And those who know the original Mac Hodges B-29 and the shoes that airplane created knows that it's an amazing airplane. Something I never in my wildest imagination would think that we would somehow end up with it. So anyways, I just pulled it out of the trailer, and when I say big, I mean big. It's 20-foot wingspan, powered by 4 DA-100s for those of you who have never seen the airplane, and it fills up a 7x16 enclosed trailer a lot. So you can see it breaks down to what we will say is a reasonable size. But it's still a monster. It's every bit of about 5 foot wide, and I'm gonna say 14.5, if not 15 foot long. It's a big airplane. Weight wise, surprisingly, it is not that bad. What you see, which is really just a bare airplane with a couple of servos in it. There's no landing gear, no engines, obviously. But that airplane, I can pick up by myself. So if I had to guess the fuselage, how you see it right now, it's probably right around 55 to 70 pounds, somewhere in that range. Outer wing panels and nacelles are surprisingly right at 13 pounds each. They're within an ounce or two, even with the damaged areas and whatnot. So I mean, the airplane, for as big as it is remarkably light. Construction for the airplane is pretty much all styrofoam and balsa wood, and it is literally a big foamy. You can see we've got a horizontal stabilizer that was ripped off. This is a new foam core, and the trailing edge is put on it. And then on the other side, you can see the original horizontal stab. We've got the elevator, and we've got the stab tip. So fixing this is really just a matter of putting a leading edge on it and sheeting the whole thing, and installing servos, fiberglassing it, and that'll be ready to go. The tail was ripped off of it in the last accident, so there's a pretty substantial crack all the way here at an angle. It's all glued back together. The previous builder was in the process of fixing it when life got in the way, and then we kind of took it over, and it's not really that bad. What we'll end up doing is just kind of insetting some new sheeting in here that spans this crack, and then we'll glass the whole area, and that'll really make this tail even more solid than it already is. Even with that crack, I mean, this thing is stout. It doesn't really move. So coming over here on the left stub wing, this is where the majority of the work is going to go. It was completely broken from the leading edge there at an angle back to here. You can see it's been glued back together with some Gorilla Glue, which works phenomenal for gluing foam core anything to wood, or even foam to foam, because it expands and it creates a really good glue joint because it kind of expands into the foam cores. The nacelle obviously is missing. That is mostly intact with the firewall and everything. None of that was really broken. It just kind of was a clean break right off the leading edge of the wing. So that should be a fairly easy repair to put it all back in there, and then it's just a matter of reinforcing it to get it back how it is. And then this wing root, we'll use one of the other ones as a template to make a new plywood rib. Clear canopy, we've got replacement ones. I've got a video I recorded a couple of days ago. I think it's 2 days ago. But we've got new ones of that, and we've got a new nose cone, like a clear cone as well. The vacuum forms are really nice. The form itself has a little bit of a wave to it, so we may or we may not initially go and kind of make that a little bit more scale. I would like to put some semblance of a cockpit in the airplane, but really we'll get to that well after the airplane is back to going and flying. We do have the hatch that's missing. We've got the landing gear. The servos are giant Futaba quarter scale servos. We plan on updating the entire airplane to more modern radio equipment, high voltage stuff. I'm a Jetty guy, so I'll probably end up putting my Jetty radio in it and a couple of central boxes, and run probably at least 3 if not 4 central boxes in this airplane. We'll probably have a central one for the fuselage and everything that's associated with that, and then we'll run a separate central box in each wing panel, so it's just a single wire connection. We'll probably have 3 signal wires going through a regular servo connector. That way if any one wire were to break, you still have something, if that's even a possibility. I need to talk to Jetty and see what we can do as far as redundancy for this airplane, because the name of the game for this airplane is we want to do it the same, but we want it to be different. My son, he saw the video. Well, let me back up a little bit. For years, he's 13 now, and he's been saying for at least 10 years that he's, pretty much since he could talk, that he wants a big B-29, because he got a little bitty metal cast model of one when he was about 3 years old, and I took him to see Fifi when we lived in Florida, and he has been just obsessed with B-29s ever since. So he got him a B-29, and I got a really expensive set of landing gear and a really expensive checkbook to write to finish this thing. But yeah, so he picked it up. Well, we picked it up a couple months ago. I think it was beginning of February or March. So happy birthday to him and me. And now that I've gotten all of my other projects done, this is kind of what we're going to work on through the summer. We're trying to get the majority of all the dirty work done as far as sanding and whatnot. So if we can get the airplane sanded down to bare metal, or bare metal, that'd be awesome if it was bare metal. Anyways, if we could get it sanded down to bare fiberglass to get all the paint off, so we can get a really good look at all of the wood structure and the foam, and make sure everything is, make sure there's no hidden issues or cracks under the paint. Get that figured out, get all of the repairs done, which honestly the airplane is not going to be that hard to repair. I started working on the left wing, which I thought was going to be the worst wing out of the 2 outer wing panels at least, and within an hour or 2 that wing is mostly 50% done as far as repairs go. The right wing, which I thought was going to be a complete write-off, which would make it easier because we could just start from new, that one actually doesn't seem that bad, but it's definitely the worst of the 2. I've got videos recorded of both of those. Matter of fact, as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm gonna go eat dinner, take a shower, and start doing some editing. And for those of you who have watched my other videos on my channel, I'm not a big fan of editing. I typically just do a couple things here and there, and then upload the raw footage and try and keep it to about 10 minutes at a piece. This one I'll try and do a little bit more editing, but don't expect any Hollywood masterpieces from from my office. So yeah, it's a big project, both work-wise, financially, and time-wise. My son, he's gung-ho about getting this thing done ASAP. For anybody who's got 2 small kids in a family, you know, ASAP and does not always work out how the kids want it to be. But we'll do our best to get this thing going as quickly as possible. We would love, well, especially him, I would like to have it really structurally complete and ready to have engines and radio equipment and all that stuff, really start putting it in by the end of summer, have it in primer and all that. That way we can potentially do a couple of test flights over the winter. We can strip this thing down so next spring we could paint it and really have it ready to go for the 2025 flying season. And I know it sounds wildly ambitious to think that that's possible, but honestly, because this airplane was so well built to begin with, and how it is constructed with the foam core, everything, it makes repairing this significantly easier than if it was a balsa wood airplane. But to build this thing from scratch, I mean, you're talking for just a handful of people a couple of years. But to fix this and get it ready to go, you could have it going in 6 to 9 months if you have everything going. So to make that happen, we have thought about doing some sort of Patreon or PayPal account, something to where people, if anyone is interested, they could throw a couple of bucks at it to get this thing ready and get it going next year. We do want to travel with the airplane a good bit to just get it out there and let people see the airplane that have never seen it before. That is something that will happen. It's just a matter of when it will happen. And really the finances are going to be what slows this airplane down the most. Like I said, we got the airplane, obviously. We've got the landing gear, we've got the wheels, we've got the brakes. We've got all of the wood necessary to finish, or to repair the airplane. I got all the fiberglass. I've bought everything I need to get the airplane structurally able. Everything that's left is expensive stuff, obviously. And it's like the full scale crowd goes. 50% done, 50% to go. Or 100% done, or 50% to go. 50% done, 100% to go. I think that's what they say. Anyway, big project, lots of stuff. And all the expensive stuff's always at the end. This particular airplane, you've got 2 servos per surface, so that's 10 servos for just elevators, ailerons, rudder. There's another fairly large servo on the nose gear. You got 4 throttle servos, obviously. You got a couple of brake servos, a retract servo, which we're going to look at replacing that with some electric stuff, kind of simplify the airplane to where it's less of a pre-flight heavy airplane. And then, you know, you got all the other stuff that goes with it. You've got over 150 feet of servo wire you're going to need for this thing. You're going to have power boxes, and I think last count there was about 8 or 9 batteries in this thing. And yeah, like, you start adding that stuff up even for a 40% aerobatic airplane, and that's basically what this is. It's 4 40% aerobatic airplanes with the, or at least 35 cc or 35% aerobatic airplanes with 100 cc's on them. So for those of you who are involved in that stuff, you know it gets expensive quickly, especially if you want to put good equipment in the airplane. And I am one who is always about spending good money on good stuff. It just is not cheap. So yeah, I'm gonna quit my babbling and talking about money. We are both really excited about this project. Like I said, this is something I'd never imagined my wildest dreams, watching this airplane fly when I was my son's age now. So to have this airplane in our possession to where I can do for my son and the people that are his age, and even the ones that are my age that have never seen the airplane, it's just kind of chokes you up a little bit. So anyways, like I said, I'm gonna go get some dinner, do some video editing, and we'll get out here and I'll start popping out some videos on the rehab of this amazing 20-foot B-29 bomber. So for now, you all have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next time.